Off to one side, off to another side.
Okay, looks like we're live. Hello, everybody, and we want to welcome everybody to the live stream this evening. For everybody that's joining us from Zoom, it was really great to be able to see everybody, or so many people coming up. I think we had 52 people join us, so that was really incredible to see so many students really eager to find others to practice with, and we're really glad that we're able to provide that. And I'm just going to go ahead and say hi to everybody that's with us live really quick. So I want to say hello to CD and Debbie. Let's see here. We're talking to Richard earlier, and let's see here, Jenna, Elizabeth. Really great to see everybody joining us tonight. Maurice, glad you can make it. Evelyn, it was such a great experience to finally get to sign with others. Thank you, Chris, for hosting. It's our pleasure, and it's been really exciting for us to see so many people taking advantage of that opportunity to find others to practice with and to really make a lot of progress. Oh, good. Debbie found you. Glad you're able to make it over. Jason, I got a Mint Mobile ad. Interesting. Hi, Evelyn and Yahir, Felicia. Hopefully I got to everybody. Antoinette, glad you can make it. Shayla and Lorena. I have a lot of people joining us tonight, and tonight I'm actually excited to share with you some of the things that have helped us remember the things that we learned. And so the overall theme tonight is going to be really remembering everything that we learn, so we can spend less time forgetting things and more time communicating and just making progress in the language. And let me know, is that something that you've ever encountered? Have you ever gone to have a conversation and all of a sudden everything that you spent all these weeks and months and hours into is just gone? You're just kind of blank faced and you feel like you don't have anything in you. And so that's kind of what we're going to be addressing a little bit tonight. And we'll be going over just some simple strategies that will help you remember the things that you learn. One thing is that before we get started too, is that we will be doing another giveaway tonight. Johnny and I are going to be holding a workshop this weekend on Saturday. And we're going to be picking somebody from the comments this evening to welcome them to come join us for free. So feel free to go ahead and comment throughout the live stream, and at the end of it, we'll go ahead and pick somebody at random, and then you'll be able to join us on Zoom for a workshop.
Question.
Yeah.
What time is that on Saturday?
3 o'clock.
Okay.
Pacific time.
I forgot, and so I'm like, wait. Yeah. No, that'll work. Yeah.
Okay.
Never mind.
I hope so, because I already sent it out.
And you didn't ask me.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Okay. I'm just perusing through the comments really quick. I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Tonight we're going to be going over just a few things that will really help you remember the things that you've been learning. Just to surmise, we're going to be going over how you can record the things that you've been learning, which will really help you use what you're learning for review.
As in, like, actually record, like record?
Record and also like to take notes.
Okay. I, as the interpreter, need to clarify. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like record? What are you talking about? Okay.
Being creative and how that can really help us remember the signs and the words that we're learning, and spaced repetition and interleaved learning. So just go ahead and to jump into that first aspect of just making note of the words or the signs that you've been learning so far. And that's going to really help you just kind of keep track of everything that you've learned so far. And it will also give you something to kind of go back to and review.
Yeah. I know. Get some.
But we actually want to go beyond just keeping a record of words. Like a lot of times those just end up being lists of words, and that can be hard to remember because how did that sign look? What did it mean? What was the context? And so a lot of times when we make just a list of words, maybe just a set of vocabulary words, and we go back to review, a lot of times we forgot what that sign actually looks like. So one of the things that we want to do is to actually record some of the parameters that are used in that specific sign. And if you're unfamiliar, there's a nice little acronym called HOLME, HOLME, and that just gives you an idea or something to remember the parameters by. And that's just hand shape, orientation, location, movement, and sometimes it's called expressions or non-manual markers. And so those are things that aren't actually gestures, but are more body language and facial expressions and things of that nature. So going through and describing that sign can actually really help us recall that sign much more effectively. And another thing that really, really helps is if we can actually draw a picture, even if we're just creating a mental picture, or to actually sit down and draw a literal picture. That's going to really help us recall that information a lot. And actually, statistically, if we make that into an image, we're going to be able to remember about 6 times longer than if we just wrote down the word or not have written anything down at all.
I'm reading something. I'm reading the chat. So Joe, at 3 on Saturday is a workshop that we're doing a giveaway for. So at the end of the she's distracted me. I can hear her making noises.
She's coming.
I know she's coming. At the end of this live YouTube, I can't think of my words, but at the end of this, we're going to do the giveaway. So we're going to pick somebody at random for that workshop, for them to be free to join that workshop on Saturday. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and Eastern time, 3, 4, 5. It'd be 6 o'clock. See, I'm like on my fingers, 3, 4. But yeah, so it'll be 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. Oh yeah, I know.
Oh my God, a cat.
He's hiding in the bookshelf. I know. You can't even tell he's there. He like, there he is. He's like one of those what are they called? Like the find it puzzles, where it's like you get like a list of things and like this picture, and you have to find him. Find the cat. He's right there. He's like, what?
Where's Waldo? Where's the cat?
Where's the cat?
And then we got a dog down here too.
It's right here. It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's my good boy. So yeah. Thank you for the book recommendation, Unlimited Memory, Chris. It helps with this a lot. Yes. So there is, the book, Unlimited Memory is a really good book that helps you remember the things that you learn. He left me here all by myself. I don't do good alone. Oops, what just happened? I'm like, you left me all alone. And like, this one was yours talking to me about memories. So I'm like, all by myself. I'm like, he left me. Like Jurassic Park. He left us. He left us. Okay.
Okay.
I Spy books. Yes. The I Spy books. I remember doing those in school. Did you? Did you ever do those in school?
No, I did the Where's Waldo.
What a sad
That's not that sad.
Oh, those were fun. I did those in like 3rd grade, like the I Spy, and you're like in there and whatever. Anyways.
Your girls are really cute. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
So anyways, going next, if you actually take that one step further, creating your own flashcards. So you could buy a set of flashcards, like we have a set of 500 back there, that are really kind of a good way to help you understand what you want to learn next. And that can be half the challenge, is like, what words should I be focusing on? And so buying a set of flashcards can be really helpful in that regard. But if you want to remember it, not only using those flashcards, front and back, you're showing the word, okay, let's produce the sign, or you see the sign and you have to figure out what word it is. That's going to be really effective too. But if you can actually take it one step further and create your own flashcards, that might be a little intimidating, but it doesn't have to be much. Just, writing down the word, or even better yet, drawing a picture. And that picture could just be anything that helps you remember the sign or the word that you're learning. And this is actually really effective no matter what language you're learning, or even if you're trying to learn maybe some more academic stuff, like you're trying to memorize the periodic table or something of that nature. Sorry.
I'm like,
so yeah.
Man.
So you're engaging a lot of different areas of the brain simultaneously, and again, having that picture to remember is going to be much more effective than just a word. So that's going to be something that can really take it to the next level. And just a couple of quick examples. This is taken from the book Unlimited Memory, and I left a link in the description down below if you wanted to check it out. But one example was like if you're learning the language Zulu, there's a Zulu word that is inja, and the word means injured dog. And so for the example that they give is like, well, that reminds me of an injured dog. So like you could draw a picture or maybe write a sentence and say injured dog, and then write the word inja next to it. And that's going to help your brain have something to attach it to. So anytime you hear inja, you have that mental picture of injured dog, and it sounds like inja, right? And so we can do this with sign language with a lot of different signs, and it's going to be unique for each individual person. But like one example is one student that I was working with really pictured like the sign for go, like I'm leaving, I'm going out, as a squid just kind of squirting away. And so like you can, again, draw a picture of that, or you could just describe it, or just even have that mental note of like, okay, squid go, or squirt away, or anything like that, just to kind of have that mental picture to be able to recall the sign. Hey, Taylor got a name sign. Very cool. That's exciting. That's a badge of honor, for sure. I see Linda saying that I drew crude pictures of fall, winter, spring, and summer. It did help tonight. So yeah, tonight we were doing weather signs. It was the theme. And so drawing pictures can really help that. And even if you're just using physical pictures, or like we were recommending dictionaries last week, and Gallaudet has a couple of incredible dictionaries. One of them is an adult version, and the other one is a children's version. But that children's version, don't write it off just because it's, directed at kids. So again, it's chock full of imagery, and, that's going to be really powerful for us to be able to learn and memorize those signs and the words and everything that goes along with them. Evelyn is asking, what is a name sign?
A name sign?
You want to?
Oh, like what a name sign is? Okay, so a name sign is. Okay, so for example, my name is Johnny, but my name sign is JM, and it's to help with not having to finger spell your name over and over again. But it's almost like a. Why can't I think of the word? It's like a. God, I can't think of the word for it, but it's pretty much your.
Like a label?
Label, I guess label, identifying. So it could be anything. I'll give you a few name sign examples. So mine is JM. Chris, his name sign is Chris. My dad, his name sign is Rock. My dad's name is Rocky. And so the deaf thought it was funny, and they called him Rock. Yeah, like a nickname. Thank you. Kind of like a nickname. For you, so they don't have to finger spell, but you're remembered by your name sign. And typically your name signs are given to you off of a specific special characteristic about you. So I have one friend who has a freckle on the white part of her eye, and so her sign name was like this. I have I'm trying to think. I have another friend, her sign name is like this because she's a photographer, but she's like super sweet, so it's like this. My niece, her sign name is like this because her name is Shelby, named after the Shelby Cobra Mustang. So Cobra for snake. So there's a lot of it's kind of like your nickname, something that they use to identify you. So it's super cool. Evelyn's asking if you would introduce yourself with a name sign or your actual name. So when you introduce yourself, you would finger spell your name. So I would say my name is Johnny, and I would say my sign name is JM. And so that's kind of how you would finger spell your name. So they're like, oh, okay. But then you would tell them my sign name is this, whatever your sign name would be. So it's one of those things, and it is. For a deaf person to give you a sign name is really a big deal, because those are not just given away freely. It's special to you, and it's something that they pick specifically for you. and it's something only a deaf person can give you. So they're really special. They're really unique. It's very rare to find somebody who has the exact same sign name as you. It's almost impossible. I mean, there's some that are like, what do you call them? Kind of common ones. Like I've seen a lot of ones that are like princess or things like that, just depending on the first letter of your name. But there are some that are very unique, like this one. Very unique, very special. So it just kind of depends on who names you. But it's super fun. Yeah, definitely love it. Not a problem. What does
I get this question almost every
PSE
week.
mean? I don't know.
I think you're talking about PSE.
Oh, PSE?
Yeah, it could be either BSL, which is British Sign Language, or PSE, which is Pigeon Signed English.
So what that means, Pigeon Signed English, PSE, is ASL signs in English grammar format. So you have ASL, which is its own grammar setup, and that's a topic for another night. But PSE is using sign language, but just in English grammar. And so it's kind of what you'll see. It's very common. People will bounce between ASL and PSE, and people will fluctuate between the two, and you'll kind of see like a mix of it. Pigeon sign English. Not pigeon.
And not the bird.
Not the bird. Not pigeon.
But
Pigeon.
it's a linguistic thing where basically like one language will branch off of another. And there's lots of verbal languages that do that as well. Is that a new haircut, Chris? Yeah, so
Okay.
a couple weeks ago,
Well,
do you want to tell the story?
Okay, so COVID sucks, and we can't go and get his haircut. That's another reason why my hair is getting so long, is because I can't go and get my haircut either. So he relied on me to cut his hair, which normally isn't a bad thing. I can kind of do it. I use the buzzers, Well, he asked me to do it, and it was really late, and I'm not a night person, so I was tired. And I was like, okay, so I'm cutting his hair. And when I went to do the sides right here, I thought I had the attachment on, and I didn't. So it was like straight buzzer. And I went, oh! And I realized what I did. And all he said was, how bad is it? And I'm like, there's no going back. I'm like, I have to do the whole thing. There's no going back. So I ended up having to do that straight buzzer like all the way around. But then he had like this line because the top is a 2. And I'm like, oh! So I had to call my mom.
That explains the hat last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to call my mom. I was like panicked because he does a lot of stuff like this. And he's like, well, that's okay. And I'm like, I felt bad. But so it grew out. His hair grew. So, I mean, it's getting better. But, oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. But I'm like.
Oh, my God. That's awesome.
I felt bad. But he was such a good sport. He was like, well, I'm bald. That's okay.
There you go. Barb says, I did the same thing to my husband once. Don't feel bad, Johnny. Forgot to put the attachment on, too.
I'm not a hairstylist. I didn't know.
Honestly, that was the second time that something like that happened. The first time was years ago. We were just recently married, I think like 10, 11 years ago. And she had the attachment, but it was the wrong one. And
it was one of the ones
it was like right around the ear.
It was an ear attachment. That was horrible. It did not do what I thought it was going to do, and it was mortifying. So
grab some cat hair and start gluing.
Right? I know. I was like, oh God. I just felt so bad. What ASL books do you recommend? Oh, well, there's a few.
Hi.
Give me a minute. I like this one. I like this one.
Did you like the book?
Uh-huh. Go watch Paw Patrol, please.
Jenna, sorry that your phone died mid-live stream. Anyway, some books. Here are some that we have physical copies of, and then after we go through a couple of these, I'll show you some versions that we have digital copies of.
So there's a few that are out there. I personally am not an ASL book type person. I can't learn that way, but some people are. So this one has been pretty good. Oh, shoot. Here we go. Master ASL, fingerspelling, numbers, and glossing. Kind of cool. So it goes over some of that basic, hand shapes, orientations, numbers, and it also kind of talks about, because believe it or not, numbers are not as easy as you think. Everybody knows how to do numbers, but depending on what the number is for, you would do it differently. So 2 versus 2, I would do this differently depending on what I was talking about. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to overwhelm you, but it kind of talks about stuff like that. That's a topic for a whole nother night. And then we have the American Sign Language, which I think you have more information on this one than I do.
Yeah, and that one's a little older.
Yeah.
They used to use that in ASL classes a lot in the 1980s, I think. I think they would use it. Yeah, that was published in 1980. So it is older, but it's good to know some of the old signs because some of the older deaf will still use a lot of those old signs. But for newer ones, I would recommend the Gallaudet ASL Dictionaries because it's really good to have like really accurate signs. Sometimes with ASL books, they can either be really old or sometimes the signs aren't used as commonly anymore.
Where'd it go? Why did you learn ASL? Is any of your family members deaf? Yes, actually, my dad is hard of hearing. He wasn't born hard of hearing. He was a military man, and he was a front lines guy. So he did with the big bombs and stuff. And over the years of doing that, plus there was an accident with a mortar and it like blew him back, and then his hearing kind of went down. But it was a gradual process. And yeah, he was struggling to hear. We learned in the beginning, it wasn't because of that. It was something that was going on through our church. So we were kind of excited. We're like, yeah. And then when my dad's hearing digressed about a year or two after we had started learning, and we found out how severe it was, and that eventually he was going to become fully deaf, we really committed to the language for that. And then we convinced my parents, to learn sign language too, because they had never thought about it. And so my parents slowly started to learn, and now they're both fluent. We're fluent. My sister knows sign language. My nieces, one of my nieces is an interpreter as well. So we kind of learned as a family for that reason, because my dad, he will eventually be completely deaf. He has hearing aids, but they kind of are so because his hearing's getting worse. So yeah, we learned to really help him too, because that's going to be his main means of communication. So yeah, that was part of the reason why we learned. Let's see. I just saw. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh man, I just saw it.
Sorry, these comments come through really fast, so it can be hard to catch them. If we miss a question and you really want us to go ahead and answer it, feel free to go ahead and type that question again.
Yeah, because I'll lose them in the comments. So yeah, if you really want your question answered, feel free to type it again for us. Somebody asked, how long have we been practicing? So we have been involved in the sign language community for over 12 years. Enjoyed it. I love sign language because it's very expressive. It's one of those languages that, yes, yours was the question I was looking for. Thank you for putting it again. I'll get to you right now. It's a fun language to learn. It's very expressive, very, facial expressions, and I'm an extrovert anyways, so it was like a good match with sign language. Glossing. Thank you. Yours was the one I was looking for, because this book talked about finger spelling numbers and glossing. Oh, how do you describe glossing? So you want to take her?
Yeah.
So glossing is when you're watching sign language. So let's just say you're watching a video, and glossing would be where you're pausing it and writing down each sign to the English word. So, okay, the cat went outside, something like that. That's not how it would actually be signed, but that's what you're doing. You're pulling what each sign is, and you're writing it down verbatim what they're signing, and it kind of helps you go back and we used to do it a lot in the beginning. It really helped build up our vocabulary if we knew what it was. If we didn't know what the sign was, we would describe it. Like, okay, they did this, that, and the other thing. And then we'd ask our teacher, hey, back up. And then we'd ask our teacher about it. So that's kind of like what glossing kind of is in that aspect. Oh, there was something. Oh, hold on. Here we go. I want to become an interpreter. What do I need to look into? So first thing I would recommend is to become fluent in the language. Myself and Chris, we've been interpreters for a long time now. And getting that vocabulary and finding your niche. Like, what do you want to go into education, or do you want to do community? Do you want to do legal? There's all kinds of avenues for it. So my recommendation would be to figure out exactly where you want to go and focus specifically, on that. And then
that one video that we were recording, he just like continued to squeeze that.
I know, drove me nuts. So yeah, that's kind of what I would do. You're gonna want to find a mentor, somebody who is already an interpreter, to kind of help support you, because it's a team effort to like really learn. Because to interpret and to communicate in sign language is not the same thing. I always tell people, just because I can drive a car doesn't make me a mechanic. The same thing with interpreting. Just because I can sign does not make me an interpreter. It's a completely different skill. It requires you to process the information differently and a lot faster. So there's classes you can take at college. It's called an ITP, an interpreter training program. You can do that. Really beneficial. They help. I know quite a few people who are in them right now. I know a lot of people who are graduated. I know interpreters who never took an ITP. So it's totally up to you. But yeah, that's kind of where I would definitely start.
PSC and glossing aren't necessarily the same thing. Glossing, in a sense, is just basically attaching a word to a sign, which can be really difficult. And that's what I kind of like about this book in particular, because it really gets into the nitty-gritty of what glossing is. But in a sense, it's basically putting a visual language on paper, which can be really complicated. But if you're just getting started, a lot of times just choosing an English word and putting that down on paper, that's basically what glossing is. But I would encourage you to go ahead and do some more research on the topic.
So one of the things, because we started going into vocabulary and stuff, I kind of wanted to let you guys know something, because we were talking about PSC and ASL and things like that. Sign language is a developing language, a lot like English. So, for example, I gave this example last week and probably the week prior, but my niece used the term throwing shade. She didn't know what it meant. It's not what I thought she said at first. It sounded kind of different, like something else. And my brother-in-law had to explain it to me that throwing shade was like the equivalent of raining on somebody's parade. Okay, there's an example. So English language develops, and it changes and modifies over the years. Sign language does too. And today was a really good example of that. I was working and I was interpreting, and my client did this, and then she did this. Luckily, because I have already been familiar with this change, I knew exactly what she meant. Language, culture. But many of us might know it as language or culture. But that sign has changed, and it's a slow process. Some will forever sign culture and language, and that's okay. Others, like myself, I've been trying to implement language and culture. The language constantly changes, but I actually got to see it firsthand for the first time, a deaf person actually using that. And I was like, huh, and it just happened to be one of my clients. But I was just like, that's awesome, because I've been hearing about it. Oh, it's changed. It's this. And I was like, yeah, but I haven't seen it in my area. Well,
our area is a little slow to change.
But I have now. My client was like, bam, bam. And I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the change. So remember that when you're learning, it's an evolving language. Just remember to be flexible with it. How do you sign cupcake?
That's a couple different ways.
I didn't think about it.
Like some in our area will do it
Cupcake.
literally. They'll do, like
I've seen cupcake. Please don't ever sign that.
or even worse, like with the C hand shape for cake. But yeah,
I've
usually
seen
it's more
cupcake.
conceptual, like cupcake.
Because it looks like it's almost like the sign for muffin and cupcake. But yeah, I've kind of seen it like that.
That's interesting. Zoe says that he has a teacher, or she has a teacher that is not happy with this change. He says it takes away from something important. Can you elaborate on that?
So I'm not really sure what your ASL teacher means by that. I do know that with this change, so like language went from an L to this, and what they're trying to do is pull away from using a letter which is stemming from English, because sign language is its own entity, and so they're trying to pull away from any signs that are connected to a letter like that. So where language went to language, culture with the C went to culture. I don't really have a lot of details like on it. I just kind of I get told and I'm like, okay, and I just kind of move on, and do it. But I know for some it is a challenge, because a lot of these are unique, and depending on, like, I don't know your teacher's like background, their age, if they're deaf, if they're hearing, if they're a coda. So there could be some attachment to that more. I'm not really sure. For me, I just professionally, I have to keep up with the times, and I won't question it. If a deaf person says it's changed, I'm like, okay, and I keep moving. I'm like, you got it. But it's kind of hard. I know it for different people it might mean different things, but yeah, I'm not really sure like what specifically your teacher means by takes away from something. I see it from a deaf person's perspective, like why they're trying to pull away from the letter signs. So I don't really know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's an interesting question. What's the hardest part about being an interpreter?
Oh my.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges.
My.
Maybe we both answer that one, because I think our answers would be different.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So for me, I'm a medical interpreter. I dabble in education, but I don't do education. I'm a medical interpreter. So I think for me would be having to explain my role. No, I take that back. Having to stay in my role as an interpreter. For me, that's my hardest part. My receptive, bam. My expressive, bam. I have that. I've got certifications for that. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm good. Keeping in my role is a hard thing for me, because, and I'm going to tell you, there are times when you see your client be mistreated, I guess is something I can say. Get taken advantage of. Me as an interpreter, there's nothing I can do about that. Me on the street, there's something I can do about that. But as an interpreter, I can't. I have to stay in my role. It's up to my client to advocate for themselves. And for me, that's a hard thing to do. I'm not a quiet person when I see any form of injustice. I'm very like, wrong. I'm like, that's not okay. And I've had situations come up for me personally where I see something and I had to keep myself in check. And I had to call my boss because I was so upset. I know some of you who are watching are familiar with the story that I'm kind of referring to, where I have had that happen to where my client and the provider were talking at the same time, which is really hard for an interpreter to like this and this simultaneously. Annoyed the provider grabbed onto my client's hands, put them down, and said, "Stop it." Me as the interpreter, I died inside. I was irate, and I screamed internally loudly because my client put her head down like somebody just whipped her. And I was like, oh. So I had to call my boss because I was upset. But there's nothing I can do about that as an interpreter. So for me personally, staying in my role, is the biggest challenge for me as an interpreter. Other interpreters might, you know, have other challenges, but for me personally, that's my role. I'm like staying in my role. For you, what's your hardest part about being an interpreter?
So yeah, there's a lot of different ways we could go with this. One of the hardest aspects for me too is probably in the field, in the medical field, particularly because these are people that if you've been interpreting for several years.
Give me that.
Is that your phone?
Yes.
My phone. Okay, go ahead.
But anyways, a lot of times it's really easy to get emotionally attached and to really understand what they're going through. And one particular case, I was interpreting for a client, and I had been interpreting for him for several years.
You need to go back out in the living room. Anyways, while he does that, I kind of want to go through some of these. Okay, who on the deaf community changes or updates signs? So they kind of stem from the East Coast, like Gallaudet, Washington D.C., that area. All the new changes kind of stem from them, and then it slowly trickles. Were you purposely like pushing into me? Sorry. All of a sudden he like leans into me.
Trying to get more.
And it kind of trickles down this way, but it's more the highly populated deaf areas where like the deaf universities are, where the language develops. There is what's his name? He's that deaf scientist. Oh, rats.
I need to look him up. The easiest way to find that video though is type in Verge Science. And the title of the video is How Deaf Scientists Are Changing the Language. I think is how it goes. But yeah, it's about this undergraduate deaf student, and he's going into the field of microbiology, and he's getting really frustrated because a lot of the medical terminology is, 20 letters long. And he's like, every time I have to talk about this this term, like, okay, imagine doing that in English. Like, okay, I'm going to talk about the mitochondria, but instead of just saying the word mitochondria, you have to fingerspell it, or you have to verbally say, okay, MITO or whatever, however you spell that word.
That's
right?
Rude.
I know.
Just said biology.
Biology. But anyway, so like that entire video is talking about how like deaf scientists are creating new signs in the fields that they're in. So that is a really great video to kind of understand more clearly how the language develops over the years. And English language and any language really evolves over time, and sign language is no different.
I'm like, I don't know if any of you can tell, but when he says language, I'll go, oh.
I try to change too.
I try, like, anyways, but yeah.
Should I go back to the story about deaf client in the hospital?
That's totally up to you. I'm behind on some of these.
And it's funny, we get sidetracked almost every week. Like I have like a
he has like a whole list of stuff he wanted to talk to you guys about too for remembering. But this always happens. But it's a good thing because I like having your guys' questions because a lot of people have questions, but they don't know like who can answer my questions. And so no, I think it's great. Like if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them out there. We are definitely here for that, to give you honest opinions, to give you our views, our experience. Not to say that what we say is like sold and like bam, it's like that. No. It's just one viewpoint, one opinion, one perspective. We try to pull any information we have specifically from the deaf community. You
want to do culture?
I did. I'm going to do culture. So we try to get a lot of our information specifically from them. But yeah, feel free to throw out your questions. Absolutely. And this happens every week. Like he'll have a whole little clip pulled out right. He's going to talk to you guys about, and then when did the sign language change? That was recent, within the last year.
I don't know. Like years? We've been working. There was that deaf ASL teacher in that one college, and he's been using that for
this.
Yeah, for language. I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. It's hard to know exactly like when like that kind of like change happens because the sign language community is massive, and it really consists of millions of people. And so to point our finger and say that person changed the sign, it usually doesn't work that way. And you think culturally and pop culturally, like, oh, who decides to change this phrase, or who came up with this way of saying that thing, or like, these things that just kind of become a saying. That just kind of happens on a much larger scale. And so in the same way, like the way the language develops over time is really up to like the community as a whole. And so it's not like any one individual, but it's definitely a collaborative thing.
How important do you think it is to know different variations of a sign depending on where you are? I love your question. I love your question. I say that because many times what happens, this is like my famous example. I'm going to ask you guys, I can't see you, but I want you to sign it to to yourself. Can all of you sign the word pizza for me? Just sign it. However you sign it, however you learned it, just go ahead and sign it. Okay. I learned it as pizza, the double Z. I moved to Central California, and they do, oh God, pizza. I hate this sign. It hurts my wrist. But they do pizza. I didn't know what that was. I said, what are you doing? And she's like, pizza? And I'm like, you mean pizza? She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, pizza. So, okay, there's a variation there, right? I always tell people, be flexible and open-minded, because there's more than one way to sign something. And a lot of times what happens is we get stuck in this is how I learned it, which means the way you're doing it is wrong. We want to try not to do that, because there are variations. Oh, why can't I remember? What was her sign? It was weird. Oh, favorite. Okay. So favorite, we all know favorite, preference, favorite. My friend is from a different state. Their sign for favorite.
Oh.
Favorite. Yeah. What? I know. Some of you are probably going, that's not right. What does that even mean? Where she's from, it's favorite.
Here we go.
Favorite.
Double Z, double Z, double Z. Yeah. And that's probably the most common way that you'll see it.
But
real quick, Steve Crotty saying, isn't Bill Vickers of liveprint.com involved in spreading new signs in the deaf community? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you see him doing something that might be different, it's because he's implementing it in what he's doing and putting those new signs out there.
Yeah, and also like there's a lot of different like online dictionaries for ASL, and the one I was talking about earlier for all the science stuff and like STEM terminology, theirs is aslcore.org, and I've used that a lot for like college classes. And like I think I have a list of some of the dictionaries in the description down below. Another really good one is Deaf Tech, and they have dictionaries for like math, science, biology. And what's really nice about that one is that they have like examples and sentences, and also like different variations of that sign. So like for instance, like molecule, which is like that English initialized sign that we talked about earlier, molecule. They have molecule or molecule that are a little more conceptual. So yeah, there's different like online dictionaries and just different online resources that kind of help propagate that spread of the changes of the signs.
That is nasty. Gross balloon. She's like, Mommy, blow up my balloon. I'm like, oh. Anyways.
Real quick, basic.
Oh, basic. Yeah.
Sorry, basic.
What'd you do?
Oh, well, I had the message up, and like you couldn't see the hands.
Okay, going through. Oh, wait. Oh, thank you, Debbie.
This one?
Yeah. Your family does so good while you two are talking to us. That says a lot about you both. They're all very well, including your dogs and cat too. Thank you. I have a golden retriever and a mutt, and then we have 3 cats. So what? Oh, he's gone now. He took his leave, diva. What?
Oh, I think I missed. What website dictionary would you recommend for specific topics? School, food, etc.
Yes.
You want to talk about elementary? Huh?
Well, okay. So there's rats. It's elemental AS. No. What is that? What is that one? Go to your website. It's on there.
Elemental ASL concepts?
Is it elemental ASL concepts?
I think that's the one that you're thinking of.
Hold on. I want to. So there's an online dictionary that's really good. We use it a lot for our interpreters who are in the education system, because there's all kinds of stuff that they have to interpret. So it's really good and helpful for them. They love it. Oh yeah, there it is. Elemental ASL concepts. Can I drop that in the chat?
Probably not. But here, let me just go ahead and type it out.
But anyways, it's a really good online dictionary. It's got like all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, elemental ASL concepts is a good online dictionary. Also, ASL Core. ASL Core is another really good one that's out there. They do more science, like art and things.
Yeah, they'll have art. They'll have, like coding, like computer coding and biology, microbiology, physics, quantum physics. They have a lot of like technical signs that are like, really awesome. If you're an interpreter at a college, like that's a really good resource for you.
Signing Savvy is another one. We put that in the chat.
Yeah, I think I have links to all of those different internet online dictionaries in the description. So feel free to go ahead and open that up.
There's all kinds in there.
Yeah, I try to include everything that we talk about during these videos in the description.
I have a feeling I will mix up toilet and Tuesday. It happens.
Yeah.
It has happened. Tuesday. Yeah. Okay, so it is that time for the workshop giveaway.
Okay, yeah, man, these things go by so fast.
I know. Okay, so here it goes, and boom, there it goes. And hold on.
What happened? Whoa.
Did you want to type it?
Yeah, I can go ahead and type it.
I totally took over that. Give us 1 second. He's gonna type it.
Let's see here.
Please stop it. He's being crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's see here. Where did it go?
But yeah, there's a lot of really good online dictionaries that are out there that you can use. But one of my favorites is that elemental ASL concepts one, especially if you're wanting like education signs. They're really good for like the sign for like cause and effect and things like that. Because I had one of my interpreters ask me, she's like, Johnny, how do I sign that? And I'm like, wait, I have a resource. So yeah, really cool. Oh, did it go? Oh, you got it. Okay. And
I have to go back to the bottom to display it. And if you are still here, Raylin Hampson, please let us know.
Awesome.
And
let us know if you're still here. You have about 3 minutes to let us know. If you're not, then we'll end up picking a new person. So, but yeah, I'm trying to no, you already had a vitamin today.
So I had a lot more to discuss about how to remember things. A couple things that I do want to mention really quick. Spaced repetition. And I left a link to a video by Thomas Frank. And he does a really good job about kind of summarizing and how you can use spaced repetition to better remember everything that you learn. Basically, it's if you learn something new, repeat it a lot in the beginning, and over time you can go back to it less often.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to still be talking. So it's for the workshop that's happening this Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's what, because she's like, wait, what did I win? What's it for? But yeah, for the workshop that this coming Saturday. So what if you could do for us And where is it?
So
Right
go
here.
to banners and
No, not that one.
here
Here it is. This one. So go ahead and send an email, just letting us know it's you, that you won for the workshop, and then he'll send you all the information that you need specifically for this workshop.
And just really quickly too is the workshop is just going to be going over some of the fundamentals of sign language. So we're going to be covering a few things like parameters. Can you not chant, please?
My kid's chanting, guys. Sorry.
Parameters, classifiers, some basic grammar, and just trying to bring things down. Like if you're just getting started, how to just kind of get a better grasp on some of the fundamentals that can traditionally be really complex and overwhelming, and we're going to try to break it down to its simplest terms. So that's what that one's going to be about, and it's going to be available for everybody that is on a VIP tier, whether you're on YouTube or Patreon, or if you're a member of the website. So if you're in that VIP, then you're going to all be invited to go ahead and attend that workshop. It'll be on Zoom. It'll probably be about an hour long. Half of it is going to be going over those fundamentals, and maybe we'll have time to go over some signs as well. And afterwards, we're going to do a group practice session. So you can go ahead and use what you learned in that workshop and put it into immediate use with some other people at your skill level. So we're really looking forward to that.
She can't do it on Saturday. She wants to know if we can give it to someone else.
Okay.
Oh, so thank you for letting us know. Yeah, okay. So now we are going to go with someone else. Give us just a second. But yeah, after, so the first 30 minutes is going to be, that's totally him, what he talks about. That's not what that's all him. And then it'll be 30 minutes of practice. So it'll give everybody an opportunity to kind of like group together and practice together, which is like super important. Okay.
Okay, so, and if you are still here, whoa, what is going on here?
Glitch in the matrix.
Glitch in the matrix. Taylor Baggins, if you're still here, let us know, and we'll go ahead and send you all the information. Thanks for letting us go ahead and give that away to somebody else. Raylan, I think is how you pronounce that. Yay.
Oh,
okay, cool. So go ahead and send us an email at, where did it go? Here, chris@aslbasics.com, and we'll go ahead and forward you all the information for that workshop. And somebody was saying about spaced repetition. Every week I watch one YouTube sign video and practice those same signs for a whole week, regardless if I can remember all the signs in 2 days. So that's really great, and that's a good example of reviewing something a lot when you first learn it, and then reviewing it less and less. And you know, we do these things like with phone numbers all the time. Like if you just got a new phone number, you end up having to relearn it a lot in the beginning, and over time, you don't have to review it at all. Eventually, it's just in your long-term memory. It's just that transition from short-term to mid-term to long-term memory. And one other quick thing that I want to leave you with too is interleaved learning, and this is kind of basically the art of forgetting and being okay to not remember everything. And actually our brains are much more effective if we learn something, and you know, if we forget it and we relearn it, that sticks in our brains much more effectively than learning something and never going back to it. And there's a great video that I linked in the description down below by Steve Kaufman. He's a polyglot that speaks 20 languages, or maybe I think it's 21 at this point. But he goes about 2 approaches to memorizing vocabulary, and that's a really great video to kind of help us understand that it's okay to forget sometimes, and that interleaved learning can actually be a really powerful thing. And I did do an entire workshop on this topic. I didn't get to go over all the points tonight, but if you're watching the replay of this, I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can view the entire workshop, where I go into all the different learning strategies to help you really remember more of what you learned, so you can become fluent and more comfortable in the language more quickly. Anything that you'd like to add?
No, I think we've hit the hour mark, and I know it's a lot of information, but I really appreciated all your guys' questions, and I'm glad we were able to help you guys like clear up some stuff or anything that you're curious about. Wait a minute, hold on, I gotta check the date because so we will be here next Wednesday, the 16th, but the 23rd we will not. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw you under the bus. He's possibly gonna be having surgery soon, like within the next couple of weeks. He's having reconstructive knee surgery done. He tore his ACL and he uprooted the root from his meniscus that goes into the bone, popped out. So like it detached. It's crazy. So he's gonna be having surgery soon with that. So we might have some changes in some things coming up in the next couple of weeks, but we will let you know. But for sure, the 23rd we will not be here. But next week we will. We will be here next week on the 16th. So, but yeah, that's just kind of, I kind of want to throw that so it's kind of floating around in the air so you guys kind of know that there might be some changes. But that's during the holidays anyways, and everybody's going to be, you know, busy and stuff. So, but yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. Okay, guys.
I think this is the first time we've actually ended before the hour.
I know. So, okay, guys. Well, it was good talking with all of you guys. We're going to, oh, thank you. I know.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yeah.
Yeah. Not much fun for little Harper.
Heard the recovery time's not that great either.
Yeah, it kind of depends. So we'll see. But okay, guys. So we'll see you guys next week. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. But until then, stay safe, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.